A very good afternoon to parents and our young and budding innovators. Welcome to Hacks Lunch with the SST FAM webinar series. For those who just joined us, Hacks Lunch with the SST FAM is a three-part webinar series where we'll be sharing information on the school, as well as addressing some of your queries. These sessions will be hosted on our YouTube channel. Do subscribe here via the description box below. youtube.com/SST Singapore and turn on the notification button to be notified when we go live. For those who have missed our principal, Mrs. Chang's sharing on the 26th May, please refer to the link below. Now, today's discussion will center on the multifaceted field of engineering and also how it's done at SST. Before we talk about that, let me introduce our panel. We have with us Mrs. Chan, Principal of SST, Anshika from the class of 2016. She graduated from SJI, the IB program, and currently in SUTD second year, pursuing engineering product development and computing engineering course. She participated in the Global Leadership Program and also the recipient of the AC2 SUTD scholarship. Next, we have Justin, from the class of 2018, currently studying in National Junior College, Science Stream. He is the president of the NJC Public Address. With him, from the same batch, Tan Cheng Jie, currently pursuing Diploma in Engineering Science in Polytechnic under the NP Scholarship. Not forgetting our current student, Carl. He is in secondary 3 and taking the Engineering Plus program as applied subject. We have a surprise guest today, Joshua Kwan, from the class of 2017. Joshua will be pursuing engineering product development in SUTD. He received the Lee Kuan Yew All-Round Excellence Award in 2018, a national level for achievement in education presented to secondary school students that excel in both academic and non-academic spheres. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being in this panel. Indeed, from these panelists, I could see some similarity and also diversity among you. So today is definitely multiple pathways from JC, Polytechnic, IB program, and university, and yet they have a common passion in engineering. Okay. Now, I have a question for Anshika. When the term engineering is used, right, some may perceive it as just hardcore sciences and mathematics. So for someone in second year pursuing engineering, can you tell us more? What does engineering entail?
So engineering is not just about science and math, which is the common misconception. In fact, engineering is about innovation today. It's about creating a product that addresses the needs of the community. And this cannot happen only with math and science. Engineers need to have the empathy and be socially aware to understand what's going on in the community around them. And then you get the interplay of design and creativity to come up with a product or solution that really solves the problem. So engineering, it's not just about math and science. You need the creativity and the design skills as well.
Yeah, very interesting. How about your perspective, Joshua? Incidentally, you're pursuing the same course as Anshika in SUTD, right? So may I also add, apart from your perspective, how do you think SST provides the foundation for this field of engineering? Because Anshika mentioned about empathy.
Yes, I think first linking to Anshika's point on empathy is that even though SST focuses a lot on science and technology, as the name suggests, but we still do take humanities, social studies to ensure that we not only have the hard skills of doing science and math, but at the same time also knowing why we do what we do and the meaning and how we can greater impact society as a whole compared to just doing engineering for the sake of engineering. And I think engineering nowadays, and increasingly so, is becoming much more diverse, where there's more cross-disciplinary engineering rather than what used to be very traditional mechanical, electrical pillars. And I think that's where SST really comes in, that my SST experience really comes in very useful, where we not only learn across subjects, but also we get to do a lot of real-life applications. And often these real-life applications, it's more than one at a time. For example, previously I was from robotics in SST, and before we design a robot, we have to inculcate bits of our electronics as one of our applied subjects, together with math and physics, all into our robot design. So I think being able to make use of the different subjects that we learn and applying it really helps with this cross-disciplinary understanding, which I think will be increasingly important as engineering continues to evolve.
Very good. May I also ask Chang, right? You're currently pursuing in engineering science in Ngee Polytechnic, right? So what sparks this passion to pursue engineering science? Does it actually come from your applied subject in SST?
Actually, engineering science in Ngee Polytechnic is a course that is very wide range. It doesn't only focuses on one type of engineering, for example, mechanical or electrical engineering, but it focuses on research and development. So we actually look at all different types of engineering. And how that passion started is actually from SST's applied subject as well as lower secondary. We have the ADMT previously. So through all this ADMT, right, we actually do product innovation and development. And I've realized that I have a passion for fusing engineering with doing something and coming out with a product that can impact society. So that is where actually my applied subject of electronics gave me the knowledge and skills to the key knowledge to actually use it to impact on society. And that's why in Ngee I chose engineering science, which is a course that actually allows me to do all of that. Yeah.
Okay, before we continue our discussion further, for the information of the viewers out there, ADMT is actually Art, Design, Media and Technology course. Later we'll invite maybe perhaps Mrs. Chang to share. But before that, we have a few questions from our viewers for Mrs. Chan here. So the first question I have is this: how can my child prepare better for DSA tests? And also, do we need to prepare a portfolio, and how do we submit it? So one is about DSA selection, the other one is about portfolio. Mrs. Chan?
Right, thanks, Joe. Right, let me first perhaps go through a little bit about the DSA process, because I understand that some of you were wondering how different will it be this year given the COVID-19 situation. So upfront is the first stage, right? It requires you to apply through the MOE centralized DSA portal. Currently, application is already open, right? You can go in and you submit and indicate SST as one of your choice, and the option will come to us, right? So in this DSA portal, you notice that anything that's school-based, be it school-based results, school-based awards, the information will automatically be ported over to us. That's for the convenience of all applicants. So there's no need for you to enter additional information. The only one part that will require you to add in a little bit more about yourself is the optional section at the end, where you were given, I think, 10 entries, where you can choose to enter any awards or courses or workshops, especially that is aligned to our area of focus, that's STEAM. We'll highlight that, key in a description, a brief description of what the award is about or what the competition is all about. So that's all the information that is needed. All right, so that's the first stage. Please note that the DSA application through the centralized portal will close on the 5th of June at 3 p.m. So that's the closing date for application to SST or to any other school for that matter. Okay, with that first submission, what will happen is this: we will then start to shortlist based on the information that you have given. Maybe let me revert to another point, because I think just now Johari also asked about portfolio. So the question about portfolio, there is no need for you to give us a whole portfolio. All you need to do is pick up the awards or the workshops that we've gone and entered it into the third segment that I was talking, the final segment that I was talking about in the DSA portal. All right, so from that, given this information, we will then select about 80% of the students to go for a phase 1. Okay, what is this phase 1 all about? With COVID-19, we have to do everything online. So phase 1 will be an e-quiz, right? Quiz done on the computer, and that will all done solely at the primary school, in the comfort of your child's primary school. When will this be? This is going to be in the week of the last week of June. All right, so it will be done within that week. After that, we will then further shortlist based on our e-quiz results, together with all the info that you have provided. We'll look at it quite holistically, considering a whole range of criteria. No single basket will outweigh the other, right? Really, we look at it holistically. And then we'll invite shortlist a far smaller group for phase 2. So phase 2 will be another e-mode, all right? It will be done again online in the comfort of your primary school. Here, we will give you some tasks to do, and there will be an interview, right? So that basically concludes the entire DSA process. As to whether you need to show us your certificates, because all you can't attach anything in the DSA centralized portal, you just key in the information. So how do we then verify? We will ask for the submission, all right, if you are shortlisted for phase 2. All right, so we will go through that with you through email at a later stage. So not to worry about that. So that I hope gives you a good sense of the stages that will go. And ultimately, after that, sometime in September, that's nationally a common date, we will then release the results of the DSA selection. The students that we have identified, we have selected, we will give you either a confirmed offer, meaning, we'll give you a place as long as you meet the minimum cutoff. All right, so what is the minimum cutoff at this point? Actually, because we are a DSA school, there is no cutoff per se. However, because SST offers only the express stream, you need to meet the cutoff to qualify for express stream. All right, so that's what we meant by the cutoff. All right, so we'll give you a confirmed offer. So as long as you meet the minimum requirement for express stream, what you will get is a confirmed offer. You will be reserved a place for SST. However, right, there's another group of students that will give you as a wait list offer. Right, so sometimes in the event that a confirmed offer student didn't take up the offer, that's when we will then go down to the wait list candidates. Again, all you need to do is meet the minimum cutoff of express curriculum, then you will be given a place. Right, so I hope that clarifies with the DSA process. Right, back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. That also answers the next parent's question about the cutoff point academically, as you have already mentioned about the express stream qualification. Okay, now back to alluding to what Joshua said earlier about the name of the school, School of Science and Technology. Seems like it's definitely a STEM school. So my question to Justin is this. So with this name in mind, does it mean that we are producing a workforce of engineers and science-based careers only? Justin, please.
Well, I would say that definitely, as the name of the school suggests, we are more gearing towards developing students in the domains of science and technology. I mean, that's the name of the school. However, it is also essential for us to understand that that there may be some students within SST that after they join us, they may not necessarily end up in that particular field. So some of them may actually progress and move on to, let's say, the arts field, or let's say they move on to, let's say, the design fields. So there are actually some other pathways that our students may choose to take at the end of their 4 years with us. However, I would say generally still a majority of us are still rather on the science and the technology track.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
how about Anshika and Joshua? Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you,
if I may just
Anshika.
add on to what Justin is saying, some of the alumni are actually going on to do law now. But what SST is special in is that they teach us the skills to use technology in our own ways and use technology to view the world in a different perspective. So for example, one of our alumni, Johanna, who will be here tomorrow for the YouTube live stream, is taking law in NUS, but she has taken on the Smart Nation Scholarship as well, which shows that SST prepares its students for a future age in whatever field that they go to. Yeah.
I think maybe I just add in a bit as well. One of my teammates from robotics, and she also took electronics as an applied subject. So it looks like a very standard engineering pathway, but she went on to Polytechnic to do psychology. So I think this just shows that even though SST seems like gearing towards engineering, what SST really does is gives us a good base of technology going into this even more increasingly technology diverse and diverse world, such that no matter which field we go into, we'll be able to apply what we learn, be able to tap on technology to be able to make a bigger impact on society.
Okay. Now, right, hinging on the panelists, you have someone from IB program, someone in JC, someone who is now in the Polytechnic program. So it's multiple pathways, right? So I want you to share how has SST prepared you for through our programming, through what we have in school to prepare you for these multiple pathways. Anyone care to share?
So I guess I'll go first. So I took the IB, which is the International Baccalaureate after SST. And in the IB, as some of you may know, we do a lot of research and group work. So in SST, what prepared
Live streaming is on.
Okay, now let us continue the question again about the multiple pathways that you have all embarked on now, right? So the question is, how has SST education system to prepare you for these multiple pathways? So just now Anshika has shared. Someone else?
I think next maybe I can share, having taken the A-level pathway. I think SST really develops its students very well in terms of two areas. One in terms of self-directed learning and the second in terms of applied learning. So firstly, for self-directed learning, other than just the teacher standing in front presenting a set of slides, we do a lot of small research projects. We're asked to read up on certain things, perhaps even beyond the syllabus. And I think having this independent learning built into SST's curriculum and the way SST teaches, it really helps me and I think all the alumni going forward. When in JC where we have lectures, we always have the habit of reading up before preparing for it. Whenever we don't understand something, we can easily search it up, do our own research to always enhance our understanding. So I think that part really came in very useful, adapting to JC. And secondly, also about applied learning, I think SST does a lot of hands-on learning, where, for example, in math, in trigonometry, when we learn trigonometry, we don't just do it on the whiteboard. The teacher draws a triangle, draws like a few angles, and then just teaches us like that. But rather we go outside and we try and estimate the height of a tree, the height of a building. So I think this real life application really adds a depth of understanding towards subjects. And moving on to JC and even currently now in the O levels, I think there's an increasing amount of applied questions, more application questions rather than just telling you what 1 + 1, asking you what 1 + 1 is. So they give you a whole scenario. And I think that SST really grooms its students very well, having a much deeper level of understanding such that we are able to visualize the entire applied question and able to understand and answer it much better as well.
Yeah, for myself, I'm in the Polytechnic right now. I'm pursuing my diploma in engineering science. But actually in the Polytechnic, I also share a very similar view with what Joshua have said. So in the Polytechnic, of course, there are a lot more project work and application work. But beyond that, actually, actually in Ngee Ann Poly, we are starting a project where we are trying to impact the community with this community farm concept. So in Singapore, we heard of this 30 by 30 goal, and we want to make use of engineering to impact the community. So actually what comes about, why in the Polytechnic, a team of us are trying to start this project, is because in SST, one of our school motto is really impacting society. So it's really about using what we have learned to make an impact to the society. So in SST, actually at Sec 3, Sec 4, in robotics itself, we actually started bringing robotics out to students who are slightly not of this, who are not as fortunate. Maybe they are not able to be exposed to robotics at such an early age. So we actually partner with some organization and we invite them over and we had some robotic sessions. And that has really allowed me to see how this humanity part can come in, even though we are all engineers. So we can make use of our engineering skills actually to impact the community various different ways. And I think that SST, that very spirit and that key thing has brought me on to what I want to do in the Polytechnic. And within the Poly, it gives us the large amount of time and things like that for us to pursue that passion. So that's how SST have actually impacted me.
Maybe,
Wow, okay. Yes,
sorry,
Justin, please.
maybe I can extend a bit further, building on what Joshua has and Zheng Jie have mentioned. So for me, I believe that when we look at SST education, so we do not just look at technical skills or skills related to what you learn in the classroom. We also learn other things. As Joshua mentioned, through group projects that we do every now and then, is that we actually learn how to communicate with one another, how we share our ideas. And I feel that when we talk about engineering, or when we talk about what the future is, there's going to be a lot more collaborative work, and you really need to learn how to work between people. And I think that is a very important skill as we move forward, especially for me now that I'm in the JC, and then we also have this subject for A level that we call the project work. So when you're in project work, you really have to work with people that may come from different backgrounds, that may have different views, and then you need to work together and produce this deliverable for your A level. So it's very important that at least for me, that we really manage to learn these communication skills, and that is what I find that is actually very distinctive about the SST education, because we really teach you how to communicate your ideas to people and get your point across well explained.
Well said, everyone. Okay. Just for the information of the viewers out there, this is not actually scripted, so they can just come in and respond to whatever question I have in mind. So from what you have shared, right, SST caters to students who learn best in an active applied learning environment, right, where conceptual understanding and transference of disciplinary content, knowledge, and skill are fostered through demanding hands-on applications set in the real-world context. So because I hear words like applied learning, I hear like real-world context, I hear words like collaboratively. So talking about applied subjects, SST offers applied subjects in the upper secondary, and one of the applied subjects is skewed towards engineering. Perhaps Mrs. Chan could share with us the motivation behind these applied subjects. What are the applied subjects offered, and what is this new engineering plus subject about?
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, maybe let me touch on the applied subject first. Applied subjects actually O-level subject, and we all SST students, every single student must choose one of the applied subject as one of the 8 subjects that they are offering in the entire slew of the O-level subject combination. So the 4 applied subjects are electronics, computing, design studies, and biotechnology. I would like to highlight that while electronics and computing are actually offered in some students in other schools, biotechnology and design studies are solely offered only in SST. So typically, we allow every student to only do one applied subject. They are already covering a whole slew of 8 subjects, meaning that the load is actually pretty heavy. But over the years, we've seen IoT devices permeating into all aspects of our daily life. And we know that the number of IoT devices will continue to grow. And this is because, the technological advances continues to grow, as well as the cost, right? Cost of computing, storage, connectivity, all this has been going down. So we do expect the number of IoT devices to continue to grow. Now, against this backdrop, it tells us that programming is becoming a must, right, for every engineering student, all right, electronics engineering, for example, because IoT engineers requires engineers who need to manage the confluence of both electronics as well as computing. So this was some of our understanding by looking at the external scan. And then on top of that, our SST alumni, some of them here today, actually came back and reiterated to the school, that perhaps we would want to continue.
Live streaming is on. is on.
Right, technology, right? Technology does comes with its own challenges, right? It will disconnect sometimes when we want it not to. But having said that, that's part and parcel of life. We'll bear with it, and I think maybe later on they can, some of the students can talk about what we mean about resilience too. I think, well, this is challenges that we face continuously. But back to my answer, I was talking about why we introduced engineering plus. Right? As I said, we have always offered electronics or computing as one of the options, but because of our external scan and because of our alumni coming back to heighten our awareness that it's important that we introduce the balance of both, that we decided to offer this particular subject combination and we term it engineering plus. Right? These are meant for students who, by the end of Sec 2, are quite clear that perhaps they are really going into this direction and they would like to deepen, and therefore, for this subject combination, they offer both electronics and computing at the same time, right? And we call it the engineering plus subject combination. So maybe since I've got airtime with me, can I answer some of the other questions that pop up along the way? I think some of you raised the question that with the current COVID situation, the Singapore Examination Board, right, or MOE itself has announced that they have removed some common last topic for the national exam, right? And therefore, some of you were concerned, how do I then prepare my kids? Will I test them on things that's out of the syllabus? Will it be on topics that has not been covered, right? My assurance to you is this, all right? The whole idea about this is we are not testing on content beyond what the kids, the primary school students would be able to handle. It is about how they process the information, right? So really, there is no need for you to worry about, okay, now what topic do I have to have, right? The base is based on what they have learned, the knowledge in primary school. As to whether, is there some tips to prepare the child? I really would like to invite you to watch the video that I have done the sharing on Tuesday, where I shared a little bit about how our students succeed. I think today the alumni itself, they have succeeded in their own rights, in their different pathway. And one key thing, if you have not picked up from them, is that you notice their passion, the passion that they have in the area that they are pursuing. And I'm sure you agree with me, with passion, right? You're one step towards that, right? It makes things a lot easier. And therefore, ultimately, choice of school and which school you are posted, really, I mean it, that there is really no best school, but there is really a best match or a best fit school. Therefore, I would encourage all of you to not to specially prepare your child, particularly for this. Let the child's true inclination come through as we go through the selection. Because if they have certain aptitude that shows that they are open to this way of learning, then really they will flourish, because this is the best match for your child. So on that count, I hope I've also clarified some of the questions that were subsequently posted. All right, back over to you, Joe.
Okay, you mentioned about the Engineering Plus. We have with here a student who's currently taking Engineering Plus. Carl, can you please share with us your experience and what's the motivation behind choosing this particular applied subject?
All right, thank you. So I agree with Mrs. Chan that programming is quickly becoming a must in today's modern world. However, not just programming, just knowing programming is not the only thing that will lead to success. So for future engineers, I think that knowing both the high level, as in programming, and knowing the low level, as in the electronics and the machine that we are operating on, is also very important. So by having both knowledge of both programming and the electronics that our program actually runs on, it will allow me to branch into more different specialties in the future, right? So I can either branch into software engineering, electrical engineering, or cybersecurity. By having a wide base of skills, I think this really helps to prepare all the SST students enrolled in the Engineering Plus stream to widen their choices when they go out into the industry.
Right. Thanks, Carl, for his sharing. Maybe I stepped in a little because I saw a few more questions. That is, does it mean that in SST there's more lab session, there's more hands-on? I think if you heard from all our alumni students who shared, as well as Carl, who just talked a little bit about the engineering plus program that he's doing, you have a sense that actually we do provide them with quite a lot of application base. At the end of it, it is still grounded on the content knowledge that is required for the O-level syllabus coverage. But what we wanted them to do is to transfer their knowledge and apply it. Perhaps, any of the students, whether the alumni or Carl, could step in and perhaps share some of the performance tasks that we do, because that's an example of how we do hands-on apply. Anyone would like to take that on?
I think I can share more about the recent physics performance task that I've just completed. So in physics, currently we have been learning about the conservation of energy as well as friction on bodies of motion. So we applied what we have learned in the classroom into directly developing a mousetrap car. Now with this mousetrap car, we also not only had to apply what we have learned in the classroom, but also be able to work with other people over the course of a period of time. Now, over the course, I'm pretty sure that the performance task was held over a short holiday. So we had to meet together and to complete the task together.
Yes, Anshika, please share.
Oh yeah, I was just going to add on that these performance tasks are not they're not very limited, but actually they have that flexibility that allow the students themselves to explore more about the topic or explore more of their own ideas. So for example, the mousetrap car, which I also participated in earlier. So that one was quite interesting because we got to see a diverse range of solutions that came out because no one group had the same solution. So it's nice because the teachers also encourage you to pursue what you think might work and explore different avenues. Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from one of the viewer. This is directed to all students, past and present. Question is, do you find your SST learning delivered and tested in a different way as to what you expected when you first joined the school? If so, how different it is from your expectations? Okay, anyone? Yes.
So for myself, I was actually from SST for the 4 years in my studies in SST. Actually, before I joined SST, I thought it's a school that will have a lot more testing on science and tech, and just that only, or like very, very hard science papers. But actually, throughout my journey in SST, I realized the science questions, or even beyond exam questions, right, they are very applied based. And like what they have shared just now, all the performance tasks and applied learning programs, that actually takes up some part of our grading for Sec 1 to Sec 3. And that is where I realized that actually science and technology cannot only be just theory. We cannot just put science or put math into paper, and if it doesn't come out with anything useful or meaningful, then there is something, then we are not making full use of the science and technology skills that we are learning. So that is where I realized actually a lot of our SST assessment is also on applied learning, applied question, as well as how we can think out of the box and make use of some of the skills. So for example, like just now I've shared about ADMT, Art Design, Media and Technology course, that one of the more so-called subjects that we do in lower secondary. So in Sec 2, there's actually this filmmaking performance task where we are supposed to make a 5-minute short film, and I had to spend quite some time researching on how to make videos, how to edit videos and things like that. And that's how we actually apply some of the skills that we have learned. In fact, learn new skills such as learning by ourselves. And that's where things actually help come out along the way. That's what I feel about that.
Okay, how about you, Joshua? Is this something that you have expected when you first enrolled into SST and after graduation?
I think
What's your
like
experience like? Yeah.
before joining SST, I actually did not know much about the school. It was only during the interview process where I got interviewed by Mr. So, the robotics teacher, and also my parents got also interviewed by him. I think it's quite interesting in a sense where at first we all think that our School of Science and Technology is do science tech and that's it. But I think there's a lot more to it. And at the end of the day, science and technology is only a base, it's only a means to do something greater, to try to impact society bigger. I want to take this opportunity to address also a common concern that parents usually have, which is that with so much hands-on learning or so much projects, is the academic rigor affected. So I want to say that, like, even though we do a lot of projects, the base of all these projects is always theory first. Before you can, for example, build a mousetrap car, you first need to do calculations, you need to study the different systems of propulsion, how your mousetrap can propel the car. So there's a lot of theory behind it. You got to crunch all the numbers first before you can have fun applying all of it. So I think definitely not to worry that because of all the hands-on, that perhaps the academic rigor is compromised. And I think even opposite to that, even that rather it doesn't compromise it, but rather even adds on a different depth of understanding to it.
Very good. So now let's shift our focus, right, from the academic to something beyond that, right? Well, yes, that's the question. It's certainly one of the parents actually asked that question. I'm about to ask the question on the CCA. So this question is that my child is interested in the robotic aspect. Can someone share what will students be doing in the classroom learning? And with us, we have 3 students, past and present, who are or were in robotic club. Maybe I should start with Carl first. So what exactly are you learning in robotics?
So I think in robotics, it is really just related to both mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and coding of the robots that we're building. However, it is not just, you're not expected to know everything in secondary 1. So you really start at the very basics in secondary 1. So secondary 1 in robotics, all the teams of secondary 1s that were formed, they were mainly focused on cloning the robots that our seniors had built. And as we moved on to Sec 2, we have learned on how to modify those robots to carry out the competition tasks faster and more efficiently. And in upper secondary, we have now enough skills to develop our own robots and look into different platforms. So for example, many people in robotics are interested in 2 main systems known as Lego Mindstorms and Vex Robotics. Now, as a secondary tree, I have been leaning away from these 2 mainstream systems and have been looking into Arduino robots together with some of my juniors. And with this, and with me passing on my knowledge of Arduino and how to build robots and wire robots with Arduino, I've passed them on to my juniors. And I think it's very important that in robotics, we also have a culture of passing down information and what we have learned from our seniors to our juniors. And maybe Zheng Jie can share more about those.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm also part of the robotics club when I was in SST. And throughout my journey with robotics, I've learned 2 main things. One is on of course, the technical skills. But as what Carl have shared, we do not just fix our mind on one system, but more of the troubleshooting technical skills in that sense. So we can apply it to various different disciplines of engineering. But that is not the main thing that I would say is a big takeaway. The biggest takeaway I would take away from robotics is actually the soft skills that I've learned. And one of the soft skills is perseverance. So in robotics, as you know, there are many times things fail. In fact, countless number of times things will fail. So that is where we actually have to spend long hours, even beyond like 7 o'clock. Sometimes before the school closes at 7, we actually spend all the way until 8 o'clock in school to actually test out robots, build different robots, and try things out. So that is really the perseverance skills that we have to that I take away from robotics. Because in robotics, it's not just doing it and it will be fine. It's really a lot of thinking, a lot of playing with things, and a lot of failing. So that is something that I think is very valuable, and I brought it on to now what I'm studying. I think Joshua can share a little bit more about his experience in robotics as well. I'm sure he has a lot of experience there.
Yes, I think as Zheng Jie shared, in robotics, you learn very fast that what works in theory usually doesn't end up working in real life. So we sort of learned it the hard way, but through a lot of experimentation, troubleshooting, I think other than just the hard skills of troubleshooting and the soft skills of perseverance, I think another thing that we built very closely is really relationships between each other. Because I think the long hours spent, as Chang also shared, we used to stay back much longer, and we will continue to like to do it if the school did not close from 7 to 7 now. But now we still spend a lot of time together with our teammates, together with the rest of the CCA. And that builds very, very close ties within all of us, to the extent that these ties even extend beyond just robotics. I think recently this year, last year, during the SUTD Electric Vehicle Design Challenge, most of the members were from robotics, and we see like multiple generations of alumni come back to support the juniors. So I think it's something very interesting to know that, like, as Carl also mentioned, the mentoring between the seniors and juniors is something very prevalent throughout the entire of SST. And also I think robotics also teaches us how to sort of see the bigger picture in things, to not only enjoy what we do at the time being, but also find meaning in it, which I think is much more important than any hard skills that you pick up in the immediate term.
I definitely echo with what Joshua said, because not only in robotics, but also in other areas like media, even student leadership, we see many of the seniors coming down to render their support, or, it's sort of a mentoring culture that somehow inherent in the entire school. Before we continue with our panel discussion, I have a question from a viewer for Mrs. Chan. What are the mother tongue languages offered in SST? Are third languages offered as well? Mrs. Chan?
Okay. Right, in SST itself, all the three official mother tongue languages, including the higher mother tongue, are being offered. So Chinese, Malay, Tamil, as well as higher Chinese, higher Malay, and higher Tamil. Right. So that's with regards to mother tongue languages. Now, with regards to third language, you can apply for it if you're eligible, and then ministry side will do the selection. However, these are always conducted in external venue, which means it's sometimes at the language center, the MOE language center, or if it's other options, other like the Chinese special program or the MSP, Malay special program, this could be done at some other external center. So you can go ahead to do so. But I would just like to share that typically there will be some students who will eventually hold on to it for all 4 years. But I want to say that a great majority eventually may not continue it for the 4 years, not because of a lack of ability, but because the school does have a lot of other enrichment program, and is peppered throughout the entire day. And so sometimes they find it a challenge if they carry on with their languages, they may miss other opportunities of enrichment programs that we may have. On that note, maybe I sidetrack a little with regards to how we do our programming. Our programming is not just the formal curriculum. I think you have heard the students talk about performance tasks, talk about the theory, with the theory, and then how they apply it through the performance tasks. And learning is very much hands-on in our daily curriculum. But of course, there's also the co-curriculum component. And co-curriculum component, in my mind, is much bigger than just the CCAs. Obviously, robotics is one CCA. There are many other CCAs that will occupy their time on certain afternoons, right? Typically, we have CCAs on Wednesdays and Fridays. So that's the day that they will have to stay back for CCA. Maybe we're thinking, the other days they are quite okay, right? But Monday is also our talent development day. So students may be exploring various areas and in different domains, all right? And by that, I want to stress, while we are a school of science and technology, our different domains for talent development go beyond just science and technology. I think some of them may take up the English talent development because they want to hone certain aspects of the language, the linguistic skills, for example. So we do have. And Tuesdays and Thursdays are typically more for just, sometimes we'll do organize some out of classroom learning experiences. But that's more for the lower sec, because come the upper secondary, the moment they have to also offer an applied subject, the Tuesdays and Thursdays are actually fairly long already. So in a way, I would say that, yes, if you're interested in exploring the third language, can you carry on? Please, by all means. Then ultimately, you have to weigh out where your interest is, and then you have to prioritize and strike a balance. right? So I hope I've extended beyond just languages, but also the consideration, why, whether to offer the third lang and otherwise. Right? Back to you.
Thank you so much. Now, let's shift beyond the curriculum. Just now, Sheng Jie, you mentioned about the impact in the community, right? I understand you, Justin, and Anshika, right? When you three were in SST, you're very active championing the cause on cyber wellness. Maybe you can share us more, right? What is this cyber wellness program and how widespread is this program? And also the impact. Any one of you?
So in SST, one of the key component of SST is technology, right? So we actually make use of technology a lot in our learning. And then most parents will be very concerned. I'm giving my child so much time to use technology. What is he doing on the internet, or what is he even watching on the internet? And that's where the concern comes into our student section of how we actually plan out this cyber wellness thing in SST. Well, so part of it is if it's an adult just telling the child, hey, stop using technology, the child may not take this out so well. So what we thought is, why not we have a for students by students platform? So instead, students champion cyber wellness, and we impact our friends, we impact our community onto that. So in SST, actually, long time ago, we had this cyber wellness student ambassador program, CWSAP, where it's actually a national event where many of us from SST were doing, we were just championing cyber wellness and also telling students how to be a good cyber citizen. And I'm sure Justin, being part of a planning committee for the program, you will have a lot of experience to share with us.
I think building on what Zheng Jie has mentioned when we talk about student-to-student programs, so actually we initially have this program called the Cyber Wellness Student Ambassador Program, known as CWSAP. So through that program, what we actually did was we actually advocate for the safe use of internet. Of course, the students, our SST students themselves, will actually find key areas of concern. So, for example, when we talk about gaming addiction, when we talk about managing your time online, securing your social media accounts, and so on and so forth. So they actually go and find topics like that, and we actually outreach to we actually allow primary schools to come in and send their students in to come and get educated on these cyber issues. So the special thing about this is actually student to student. So what this means is that our students actually do proper research, and also coming from a perspective of a student, we understand what are some of their concerns, and also what are some ways that they use the internet that maybe adults will not be so familiar with. And then therefore we customize the program more specifically for them. So then on the other hand, we do not just do student-to-student level of interaction, because here at SST we believe that safe internet usage is not just about just on the student's part. So we also help parents in this case, because we understand that parents may be concerned. We have so many different devices, so many different softwares, different platforms. How is my child safe? And also, most importantly, which I think some parents may be interested to know, is that we actually have a session where us, the students, would let you, the parent, know. We'll invite you to come down, and we'll teach you how to use the learning devices and what the students actually use in terms of their softwares and their applications. And also, we also talk a bit on parental controls. How do you manage your child's time on the devices and so on? So all of this is actually meant to help those that may not be so confident about their usage of the devices. So on their hand, we try to help the parents at home manage their child's usage of the internet, should the child not be able to do it well themselves. So that's for me on some of the key programs that we have under cyber wellness. So it's outreach to students and also outreach to parents.
So Anshika, I understand you're also a facilitator, right? So what's your role as a facilitator in this program?
Yeah, so the main thing is that when I went into CWSAP, I didn't know what it would be like, and I was quite pleasantly surprised actually. So it's not like the teachers write out a program for the students and then the students follow it. In fact, the entire program is written by SST students for the primary school and secondary school students. And the preparation is also done by SST students. So we have multiple days of rehearsals where the seniors who have gone through the program before teach us how to facilitate a class. And when I mean facilitate, what we do is that we bring the primary school and secondary school students through an experience. It's not a classroom, it's an experience where we facilitate lessons to them and try to bring them to a higher understanding of cyber wellness without giving them a sort of lecture. So it's a more of a interactive and very student experience driven program. So that's a very interesting thing that SST has initiated as well. And I think it's grown quite big since I've left the school. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we have a questions from a parent. I think it will be direct. Okay. The question is, how do the teaching of O-level subject balance applied subjects and specialized program? I think Mrs. Chan, care to share?
All right, I think we'll take this in totality with an earlier question with regards to about what about the lower secondary? You know, do we prepare the students before they go on to upper secondary? Is there some articulation in terms of subject offering? Again, maybe let me just give a bigger picture so that we can cover both the lower and upper secondary so that you can understand in the context of how the entire O-level comes into play. Right, so after all, I think the first thing is we are very cognizant that our students will be taking the O-level certification. And therefore, the content will definitely be covered. All right, what we have been highlighting is that we are just teaching it in a different approach, right? So that after we have given the kids the theory or we get the students to independently research the theory, we make them apply their knowledge, right, in some performance tasks, and that in a way will deepen their understanding. And we all know, all right, you know, if you have actually applied it, the knowledge and skills actually stays with you. And in fact, like what many of them have said, not just the content or the subject disciplinary skills, but other soft skills like collaboration. So yes, all the content will be covered, and in a way, they are equally prepared for O-level subjects. And so when you talk about the balance, right, applied subject is one of 8 subjects. What will our students be offering at the upper secondary? Obviously, the 2 languages, all right, combined humanities, the 2 mathematics. So in SST, all our students have to do both mathematics, A and E math. Then they choose 2 pure sciences, and then the 8th subject is applied subject. So actually, the applied subject is one of the 8. Some of the sharing that some of the students have shared, it is actually not in applied subject. It is actually in their core subject, like the mousetrap car example that I think Carl shared about. It's actually part of their physics curriculum. So it's actually covered in physics. It's just that we use the applied approach across pervasively. Over and above, there is a particular subject that goes very deep in a particular area we call an applied subject. Very more specialized in that area. So that's at the upper secondary. So at the lower secondary, what do they do? Do we then teach a totally different curriculum? How do they then articulate up? Obviously, at the lower secondary, subject like languages, the mathematics will still be done. Science is also there. We've done our science at the lower secondary in a slightly different way. We do it in a modular approach so that we frame the science content, the necessary science content that will articulate to the pure sciences, as well as some introduction into biotech and electronics. But we use the same content, but we framed it in a certain area. For example, we call it transport science. So we'll look at the different aspect where there is the mechanism coming into play, all right? Rather than just doing it by the topic of called forces or velocity. We actually grouped it under transport science so that they can see a direct application. Over and above that, for one particular term, I understand no one said about it. If somebody else wants to share later on, you can do so. At secondary 2, we actually carved out one whole term where the students will do this thing called ISS. That stands for investigative skills in science. So as the name says, right, it is investigative skills. By then, they will form their own group. They'll decide an area of research that they want. They can adopt a scientific research approach, or they can do an engineering approach. So they will then do this project over a term. So in a way, indirectly strengthen the scientific knowledge, also strengthens the research skills. We also have a change maker program that builds on art, design, media, and technology. You heard the students talk about it. It builds on ICT skills. It builds on some innovation and entrepreneurship. Some of these elements will articulate quite naturally into design studies as an example. So in a way, yes, as a whole basket, they do align. So that's how the programming works. All right, back to you, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Chan. Certainly 1 hour is not enough for us to share the myriad of programs and activities that we have in SST. Perhaps one good start for you after this is that you go to the link, the description box below, and watch the video that Mrs. Chan has done on Tuesday. That will give you a better sensing on how to make your decision. Well, we almost come to the end, but I think I would not definitely end this without having some words from you. Now we have parents and our young buddies, entrepreneurs, right, still thinking, pondering about their decision, whether SST is the right fit for them. So what advice do you have for them? Okay, anyone may start first?
Maybe I would start first. What advice I'll have is, as in, if you're when you're searching for a school, most important, as Mrs. Chan has said, is to make sure that the environment that you're getting yourself into is the right fit. It is something that you are interested in, and if the school can help you to really channel resources to help you develop yourself in the areas that you are interested in. So I think that is very important when it comes to choosing a school. So if you are looking for a school that is able to develop your passion in the science and technology field, then I would say that SST may be a good fit for you.
I can also add on, when choosing a school, there's actually quite a few factors that come into play. One would be the passion of your child, probably distance from school, other things like other practical matters as well. But I can also advise that you go on to the website, perhaps of the SST website, and look through the programs. And there are also some experiences by alumni there. So that would be a good start to find out more information, and definitely ask more questions about the schools, the programs, so that with more information, you could also make a better choice for your child. Yeah.
Okay. One more, maybe perhaps Josh or Cheng Jie.
Yeah, I think perhaps I can just comment a bit. I think that with regards to the academic rigor of schools, I think that thing is already a given. But what I would like to add on, perhaps towards education in a wider perspective, is that as much as we all went through O levels or are going to take O levels, it is just an exam. I mean, saying now it may seem like a very small thing, but at the end of the day, we look back and we see it as just an exam. What's more important is that you learn how to learn. You develop the mind, develop the heart. And I think that is way more important and will last you well into life, much longer than any content, any chemistry thing that you have memorized in O levels will.
Yeah, certainly. So a good thing is take this time, or take even this opportunity, since you are choosing a school, to spend some time explore your passion, but at the same time keep your options open. Yeah, even in SST, although we are in science and tech, that we are given many opportunities to try out different new things, and that's very important, because at the developmental age 12, age 13, well, it's good to find out what you are passionate about. It's good to develop the skills in terms of learning, and also to keep your options open and understand a little bit more about the world around you. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Mrs. Chang?
Yes, I shall always have the last word. But actually, I'm so happy with what the alumni are saying. Indeed, while we are a school of science and technology, obviously you must not fear and not dislike the science and technology. But after all, you are 12, 13-year-old, you may think you like it. You will still have to be open to a whole myriad of opportunity to try out the various things. Your path is not narrow. We are, after all, still pretty broad-based. Right? So I think important thing is, are you open-minded? are you open to learning? Are you willing to take initiative? Programs are plentiful, but you have to take the initiative to sign up for various programs. And don't say you don't want or you don't like. You won't know until you try. So open-mindedness, that desire to just try, I think is very, very important. That type of spirit is what we need for students to really come in, and over the 4 years, I think they will find, by participating in a whole range of programs, they'll find their own area of passion, their own area of strength. And it will be very different coming from one student to the other student. And that, I think, is most important, because you need to know where about yourself before you can aim about what you want to do, and develop yourself holistically, right? To be that useful citizen, all right, that contributing citizen of the nation. All right. I actually would like to end there, but I noticed that questions keeps coming on DSA, so maybe I just have to reiterate this. Right, it's nicer to end on that note, but this is very operational. But let me just highlight again. Not to worry. In the DSA MOE centralized portal, indeed, you cannot do any attachment. Indeed, you only have that 10 boxes where you can key in, brief about the program that you have participated. That is all we need, right? I assure you, that is all we need. We will look at the entries that you have keyed in, all right, and that will be our basis for our selection. And should you be selected to phase 2, we will then write to you and say, hey, you have indicated this. Please give us a copy of your certification, right? So that will only happen at a much later stage, and we will be emailing you at that stage. So not to worry, all right? Don't think you have missed out anything. All you need, log in using your SingPass, fill in the necessary blanks. Anything else that is not included there is not necessary. On that note, I think really go on the best fit, understand your child, understand yourself, have that conversation, look at our programs. Do you think these are something that you're willing to try? If it is, just give it a shot. There's really no harm in trying. All right. Thank you for joining us today. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Mrs. Chan. I just can't help but have to answer this question, is that SST help a child to progress if she has a dream towards pursuing medicine? Well, we have at least 5 potential doctors who are now studying either NTU or NUS from the first 2 batches. So not to worry, if that's the passion, as mentioned by Mrs. Chan just now, pursue it relentlessly and you'll get where you want to be. So we have come to the end of our second webinar session. Indeed, it has been great to be able to share some insights on SST from Mrs. Chan, as well from the alumni and our current student, Carl. And we would like to thank our panelists, Mrs. Chan, Anshika, Justin, Chang, Carl, and our surprise guest, Joshua. Thank you to our viewers, parents, and budding technologists. Should you have further questions, please refer to the SST digital platforms, and also do check for our 3rd series tomorrow, same time, but this time the focus will be on multiple pathways beyond SST. With that, thank you. Have a great day. Bye.